in a confrontation of champions as they come toward the top of the stretch. And they're into the stretch. And here we go. Songbird set down. Beholder is alongside.
The 7-year wait is over. American Pharoah is finally the one. American Pharoah has won.
He's just perfect. And now he's just immortal.
Here's the wire. Desperately close. Tisno wins it for America.
Hello, welcome to the Capital OTV Weekend Stakes Preview for August 10th. Sully Crowdy, Mike Callahan. Mike, how you doing?
What's going on, Sully? Another big weekend. Could be an unbelievable weekend for Chad Brown the way it sets up here. We're going to talk about, obviously, the big ones at Saratoga, but also the Arlington. Obviously, Arlington Million Weekend. A lot of notable names. Sister Charlie, who we got to see up here at Saratoga, come off the layoff and look really good in Diana. She's going to be in the Beverly D. You also have Bricks and Mortar. You also have pretty much everywhere. Every big race we're going to talk about has a serious Chad horse in it. So,
and that's how racing is these days. You get a Chad horse everywhere, every weekend in a big race. But we'll look at 5 races as we always do. As Mike said, we'll look at the 2 big ones in Saratoga and then 3 out in Chicago. The 8th race Saturday afternoon at Saratoga. The Saratoga Special, Grade 2 event. This is for 2-year-olds going 6.5 on the main track. The 9th is the feature on Saturday at Saratoga. The 4-star Dave, Grade 1 event, a mile on the inner turf. And then we'll look at 3 out in Chicago at Arlington. The 9th race at Arlington, this is the Beverly D. Grade 1 event for fillies and mares, 3 and up, going a mile and 3/16 on the turf course. The 10th race is the Grade 1 Secretariat for 3-year-olds, going a mile on the turf. And then race 11 at Arlington. It's the big one, the Arlington Million Grade 1 event, a mile and a quarter on the turf course for 3-year-olds and up.
but let's go back and talk about that Saratoga Special to kick off our stakes preview for the weekend. This is a tough race because obviously it's 2-year-old colts. Everybody, not everybody, 4 of the 7 horses in here are coming off of their debut wins and maiden special weight company, and they did so in impressive fashion. You're going to see the morning line favorite as the number 3, Green Light Go, going out for Jimmy Jerkins. He is one of those horses that did break the maiden first time out. Did so very professionally down at Belmont, sprinting 5.5. Came home in a good time of 103.3. Has the highest buyer of the field at 84. And if you just go back and watch his race, he's a really big horse. Take a look at his competition that day. He just looks so much bigger. He's had a hard spun. I like him a lot in this spot. I do have questions, though, because he's a horse with speed, drawn inside of the other speed, how the trip's going to go in here. But again, he's got a big shot.
He does have a big shot, and you like the connections of Stronach and Jimmy Jerkins and Junior Alvarado. I'm going to use defensively in everything I do. I have the horse second. I went 4, 3, 1, and 2. I like Toggle in here. I'm a big fan of August Dawn Farm. Jeremiah's 2-year-olds have been running out of their minds at Saratoga. And overall in the year, Jeremiah with the 2-year-olds is 23%, 10% with the graded stakes. I just saw Toggle going in the slop. Obviously, I think on the fast track, this one could run a little bit better. I think it's the speediest of all of these, of all the colts in here. So I'll use the 9-2 Red Hot Barn for Jeremiah and August on Farm on top. Green Light Go, as you said, is the horse to beat in here. Went off 6-1 last time out in a field of 5 at Belmont. Looked very, very good, as Mike said. Winning that race by almost 4 is the horse to beat in here. I don't think the rail will be that big of an issue. I think if the 2 gets out in front of Green Light Go could be in a little bit of a pickle in this spot. And then the 1 Noose. Noose is a horse that comes from off the pace. And honestly, with the amount of speed in here, Noose could get the ideal trip. Corey Lannery in town to ride. Eddie Keneally does the training. A horse that won at Churchill Downs in a field of 12 on the rail, closing speed last time out by 5 lengths. So I think 4-1 is very, very a very, very good price for Noose in here. I'm definitely going to use, and again, a horse that can win from off the pace, and there is a lot of speed in here. So I'll use Noose in the 3rd spot, but in Saratoga Special, 4, 3, 1, 2.
You had a 3, 1, 7, and 5, and the 3 Green Light Go is going to be part of that pace battle. In races like this, and we see it all the time, you break your maiden first time out, you do it going wire to wire, and then you run into these type of races where everybody's done it on the front end, and you expect there to be a wicked pace. And for me, I'm hoping that Green Light Go gets forward position. I'm not ultimately hoping that the horse gets the lead. I'm hoping that he's going to be able to sit just off of the pace. I think there's two big things that you'd like to come out of that race where he debuted in. Another Miracle, who he beat by 3 1/4, came back to win and break the maiden next time out up here at Saratoga. And that workout since that last race on August 6th was 46-1. First of 26, and the fact that Jimmy Jerkins, he's 0 for 10 so far here at the meet, but he's 27% in graded stakes races this year. So you like to see that. I know he's going to be bet down because of Stronach and Jimmy and Junior, who's having an unbelievable meet so far. I do like him on top, though, in this spot, but I'm thinking that he's going to be off the pace a little bit instead of going straight to the lead in this spot. Underneath Noose, again, talking about the pace setup in here, you want horses coming from off. The 1 and the 7 for me are horses at value prices. The 1 Noose did so in a fashion that's different than the others because he came from off the pace that day to go clear by 5 lengths. He beat Kowalski. Kowalski came back to run a strong second in a maiden special weight, and since then he also has had a strong workout at Churchill Downs, first of 88 on August 2nd. So he's one that's coming into his own. The only thing right now that kind of led me to put him in the second spot is that Eddie Keneally, a trainer, is 1 for 20 in graded stakes, which is kind of surprising to me, seeing as Eddie's obviously a big name trainer. You expected the stat to be a little bit higher, but Noose does look to have a serious chance in here, and the more speed, the better for Noose drawing the rail. And then the number 7 in the third spot, which is Peruvian Boy. This horse broke the maiden last time out over the synthetic at Arlington Park at 5 furlongs. Now you stretch out to 6.5. This is a stone cold closer in this spot. If for some reason they all just decide to go at it and everybody's gasping for air at the end, I think the 7 at an enormous price, 10-1 on the morning line. I expect that to probably double to 20-1 in this spot with Julian LaPerure aboard. This horse could be coming home late with everybody else gasping for air. So don't throw out the 7 at 10-1 on the morning line. That's Peruvian Boy. So for me in the Saratoga Special, I had it 3, 1, 7, and 5. Your thoughts one more time?
4, 3, 1, and 2.
All right, let's talk about this 4-star Dave on Saturday, the featured up at Saratoga. You're going to see a lot of notable names in this field as well. And again, this is where we start to kick off the Chad Brown contingent of just horse upon horse. He's going to have a couple in here. He's going to have Uni at 5-2, which is the slight morning line favorite in here. You're also going to have Raging Bull coming out for the Chad Brown barn, who finished a solid third behind Bricks and Mortars, who he's going to send out in the Arlington Million. Robert Bruce finished second. He's also going to be out there as well. But I think the race goes between those two, but off of a big performance last time out by Got Stormy, that's one that you may want to use in here. If you're not sold that there's not much speed in here, Gadu at 15-1, I could see people maybe taking a shot with, or Dr. Egger, who's a horse that likes to be placed in here. So if you're not sold on the Chad Brown horses in here, there are some viable options.
Yeah, there definitely is. And, I've always liked Uni. I think 5-2 should stick in this spot with Raging Bull in there. I'm going to use her second. Excuse me, I'm taking a little bit of a shot. I like the Mike Maker runner, the 8. I have 8, 3, 6, and 4. I just thought the Forbidden Apple was a very, very good performance by Henbury, who lost to Mr. Haverkamp, who was a deserving winner that day. Kervin was also in that field, but lost the Gucci Factor by a nose in the poker, and I thought that was a very good race. If you watch the replay, the horse really had a great setup there, and I actually think a little bit longer than a mile this horse would really appreciate, but they're going to try the mile again. The horse looked great the last 3 starts at the mile against very, very good horses. And honestly, the nose bob in the poker could have won any other way. You're getting 8-1 again on this horse. Why not take a shot with Mike Maker in here, trying to upset Uni, who is definitely the real deal. She loves Saratoga. She won here last summer. She ran well in the Lake Placid, losing the Proctor's Ledge by 3/4 of a length. She's won 5 races in a row. And I just keep thinking of the Del Mar race, the Matriarch, where she was so wide, and 5 wide going into the turn and ran by everybody to win by half a length, and she was 5-1 that day. You're not going to get that on Saturday afternoon, but she's definitely the real deal in here. She's going to be tough to hold off, and I think Louis Size needs to get a jump on her and on Raging Bull, who are going to be flying late. Got Stormy, as you said, had a big performance last time out in the De La Rose. That was earlier in the month of August. That was actually a week ago. So Mark Cassidy feeling very good about this one. Ricardo Santana jumps aboard. So I'll use Got Stormy as well. A horse that's going to get a jump on the closers and look great. Pretty game effort earlier in the career. And ran well against Rushing Fall, who just does not lose at Keeneland, and the Jenny Wiley. So I'll use Got Stormy in the third spot. So 4-star Dave, 8364.
Yeah, I think the biggest question mark would probably be the fact that Uni's faced Phillies and Mares predominantly her entire career. Now she's facing the boys, and you could say the same thing about Got Stormy. She's a Philly taking on the boys in here as well, so she's going to get some weight allowance in here. Got Stormy is going to get practically 6 pounds from some of the big names, 8 pounds from Raging Bull in this spot. Uni's going to get a couple pounds, 5 pounds from Raging Bull as well. So you like to see that when you're kind of coming to figure out ultimately who you like in this spot, because Uni and Got Stormy have devastating closing kicks. You got to see them win both last time out. Uni was coming off of a long layoff, didn't face much last time out, but did it the right way, was geared down going 132-4 for that mile distance at Belmont. I think she's one that's going to be more forwardly placed than probably Raging Bull. Raging Bull is a horse that just likes to go completely to the back. Uni doesn't have to be completely that far back. She can sit about mid-pack, and she's going to have the jump on Raging Bull, and I just think Uni looks to be really tough in this spot. Although she's facing the boys, I think she can overcome that and beat them in this spot. So I'll put Uni on top. Underneath, the 4 Raging Bull. I liked that performance a lot last time out in the Manhattan. I think he's a horse that likes to go farther. I question the mile, though, because he's a stone-cold closer in this spot, and I just think the wire's going to come too soon for him. It's not that he's not going to put in a good effort. He loves Saratoga. He's 2 for 2 so far up here at Saratoga. You're going to get Jose Ortiz aboard for the first time. I think he's one you have to use in your mix. Just for me, the price is going to be a little bit too short, especially at the distance. And then the 6th and the 3rd spot Got Stormy, the other filly in this spot. 1x4 last time out. It was a week ago. Obviously, they were really high in that performance. It was really a public workout that day. If you look at Got Stormy that day, it was unbelievable. It was nearly a flawless race by her. Now they're going to take their chances here in the 4-star Dave, and why not? She didn't really have to work too hard last time out. She looks to get a decent setup in here, and again, she's another one. If she can stay close to Uni and Raging Bull, they have devastating kicks. You're going to see a lot of horses flying late. And then your top choice, Embry, I have in the 4th spot. This is one that I think has a decent chance in here as well. I like that performance against Mr. Havkamp, like you said, last time out. This is a horse that's a model of consistency, 20 for 28 in the money, and I just think if you're looking for an alternative from the favorites in here, I think Embry, I agree with you, has a big shot in here at a big price. So for me, I'd at 3, 4, 6, and 8. Your thoughts one more time?
8364.
All right, we will take a break and go to our break, but we're going to be talking about these Arlington races here in a second. So, again, we'll go to our break right now and get ready for a big weekend at Arlington, so stick with us.
A day at the track isn't complete without a night at the Horseshoe. Great food, hot music, and cold drinks. So why go downtown when all the action's just across from the track? The Horseshoe Inn at the corner of Nelson and Gridley.
Welcome back to the Capital TV Stakes preview for this upcoming weekend. We just talked about the Saratoga action. Now we're going to transition to Arlington, who's probably the headliner of the weekend with all the Chad Brown horses and the big names that are going out there to run in their stakes races. We're going to talk about the 3 Grade 1s on the card, starting off with race number 9 in here, which is going to be the Beverly D. You're going to see a field in here of 8. Now, it's a questionable 8 because we don't know what Magic Wand's going to do. She's dual entered in this and in the Million. We'll ultimately see where she goes because she's a big name in either one of those races, so it's going to change the odds tremendously. But I think the headliner is going to be Sister Charlie at 8-5 in the morning line. Horse looking for 5 in a row, was coming off that layoff in the Diana. Faced the likes of Rushing Falls, Home Marique, who were coming in outstanding form. And she was able to beat him, and she beat him quite easily that day by a length and 3/4. 8-5 on the morning line. I expect that to probably go a little bit lower in here. She'll probably go off somewhere around 1-1. I'm actually going to try to beat her in this spot. I think there's a horse coming over from Europe that's got a big shot in here, but what were your thoughts?
Yeah, I originally tried to beat Sister Charlie. I tried to beat her in the Diana. I tried to beat her in the Breeders' Cup, but she just seems to get it done. I had 7-3-1 in here, and if Magic Wand goes in, I'll throw Magic Wand in the mix. But Sister Charlie looks very, very good in the Diana. But the more impressive, probably the most impressive win of her career is the Breeders' Cup. That was in November. She looked great off the bench going into Diana from the Breeders' Cup, but she had a very, very gutsy effort to win that race. She was there were 6 horses in Diana. She was 6 wide that day. She got the job done, beating stablemates Rushing Fall and Home Marique. So I think she's going to be very tough to beat in here. She can win from wide turns. She can win from way off the pace from what we saw. She can win in deeper fields. And you get John Velasquez to go over to Arlington as well for Chad. I think she's a little tough to beat in here. Competition of Ideas, I think she's much better than what we saw last time out at Monmouth. I think if she runs like the New York, she definitely can give Sister Charlie a run for her money in here. She lost to Homerique. Homerique ran a very good Diana. She ran third. She was coming late. She just ran out of racetrack, I thought. But I think Competition of Ideas is a lot better than what we saw last time out in that field of 3, losing by a neck. And then third spot is Fleeting, your top choice in here. I'll let you talk more about Fleeting, but a horse that has first-time Lasix coming over for Aidan O'Brien, has looked great the last 3 starts in Group 1 and Group 2 races. So, and those were some really nice deep fields as well. So Fleeting in here, Ryan Moore, Aidan O'Brien. The one thing about Aidan O'Brien, he's 1 for 20 in America this year. So we'll see if his horse, he's got a lot of horses at Arlington this weekend. So we'll see if he can pick up a win, make that stat a little bit better. But for me, I have 7-3-1. Magic Wand goes in. I'll throw her in the mix as well.
Yeah, I had 1, 7, 6, and 3, and again the 6 being Magic Wand. We'll see if she ultimately goes in this spot. Maybe just 1, 7, 3 if she decides to go in the million. But you kind of introed me to Fleeting, and you're right, because there's a lot of question marks with. Surprisingly, Aidan O'Brien hasn't been doing well when he's been sending over his horses, but he hasn't been sending over his A horses, and Fleeting is definitely one of his A horses. Finished second in the last 2, and you would say, well, this horse hasn't won since 5 starts ago. This horse has no shot against Sister Charlie. He's looking for 5 in a row, but she lost to a serious horse, a potential superstar in the John Gosden barn, Starcatcher, and she lost to her by a half length last time out, a length and a half before that, and she's a horse that just didn't get any pace at all in those races. She has a devastating closing kick as well, so my guess is that Ryan Moore, who's coming over, is going to target Sister Charlie the entire way. When Sister Charlie makes her move, he's going to be very close to her, and it's just going to come down to who has the potential better closing kick in this spot. And I wouldn't be shocked to see Fleeting get the best of Sister Charlie in this spot. Sister Charlie with that huge performance coming off the layoff. Maybe the horse slightly regresses in this spot, but I like Fleeting. Is a 3-year-old facing Olders as well, so that shows you that Aidan O'Brien has a 3-year-old that he likes this much to bring her against the Olders in this spot. So I think Fleeting has a big chance in this spot with Ryan Moore at 5-2, and I'll try to upset Sister Charlie in the Beverly D. Sister Charlie in the second spot for all the reasons that are kind of strictly on paper, and everybody knows this horse, it seems. Searching for 5 in a row, unbelievable. Probably one of the better horses in Chad Brown's barn, if not one of the best, because you could absolutely on paper take a look at this horse and be like, wow, she's just been an absolute superstar for Chad through and through. So we'll see if she's able to improve off that effort, or maybe she possibly regresses. We'll see how it goes in the Beverly D. And then the third spot, Competition of Ideas. I do agree with you. That second last time out wasn't as bad as people are going to say, because it was a 3-horse field. But you go back to the race against Homerique, that was a solid second-place performance to a horse that was lost by a neck to Homerique, and Homerique was only a couple lengths off of Sister Charlie last time out. So we'll see if Competition of Ideas can make it a steady improve off that race last time out. So for me, Beverly D at 1, 7, 6, and 3. Your thoughts one more time?
I had the same 3. I'm going to go with Sister Charlie on top, 7, 3, and 1.
All right, let's take a look at this Secretariat. It's another Grade 1 event, $500,000 purse. You're going to go a mile on the turf. This is probably the wide open race that people are going to want in the sequences when we're talking pick 3s, pick 4s, pick 5s. I actually took a stand against the morning line favorite in here, which is Fog of War. But you take a look at Fog of War's last effort, and again, another one going out for Chad Brown. He's got Valid Point in here, who looks to be a serious contender in here. You also have a couple Aidan O'Brien horses, and some horses that have been running at Arlington already, and their local preps for this race. So a lot of different angles you could go in here. Ultimately, who'd you go with?
I went with 7, 9, 4, and 3. I'm not a fan of Fog of War. Fog of War knocks me out of any multiples or this race. I'll be completely okay with it. I like the 7 Valid Point going out for E5. The other Chad runner in here, Javier, will be aboard. And I thought that effort last time out in an optional claiming race, it was a field of 5, but got the job done very, very impressively, beating a horse that I think is going to be a superstar in Kulik Bear. I just thought it was a very good effort, and beating a horse that, again, I'm really high on. I have been high on in Kulik Bear, and I think will just get much better. I think this is a good spot for this horse. Chad sending horses out after a win is 30%, and no one's better than Chad going from being special weight to facing winners in the graded stakes. So I like Valid Point in here. I think it's the ideal trip, getting a jump on the closers in here. Crafty Daddy is very interesting because if you like the 8 Fairway Kitten, Crafty Daddy's at 5-1 for Brad Cox and ran well in a grade 3 event from off the pace last time out as well. So I think this horse gets a better trip. Florent's got to find a little bit better of a running lane. You don't want to be so wide like last time out. So I'll use Crafty Daddy in the mix. And then the 4 is the last zip. Michael Stidham has most likely the pace setter in here, can really slow things down on the front end. I thought went a little quick for no reason last time out. They went to a 47. I think this horse can run a 48, 49. This horse that could be very dangerous on the front end with Adam Beschizza. But for me, I like Chad Brown, Valid Point. I have 7, 9, 4, 3.
I'm right with you. I have it 7, 3, 6, and 2. We landed on the same horse, Valid Point. I like that performance last time out. So you take a look at the 2 victories for Valid Point, 2 for 2 lifetime. The fact that the horse in that maiden breaker beat Bar Harbor, who came back to break the maiden next time out. You like to see that. Should only flatter Valid Point. And then last time out, faced some good competition. It was only a 5-horse field. They went really slow early, but they went quick late. The horse came home in 22 flat for that last furlong, which you like to see because this horse obviously has a lot of potential. They're taking their shot. They're going from that allowance race into grade 1 competition, and there are some question marks there, but obviously Chad has high hopes for this horse. You're going to get Javier aboard, who's been aboard for the first 2 career starts. I do like this horse at 5-1. I'm hoping the price is going to hold, but I think this is going to be an attractive horse to a lot of people, especially since this horse has some good positional speed in here to be able to sit just off of the speed, who potentially, and probably will be, Clint Maroon, the number 1, who's a big long shot in here, who's probably going to take the lead. Hopefully Valid Point can sit just off that horse. Underneath the 3, Never No More. I do like this horse. Again, we've talked about the Aidan O'Brien factor, how he hasn't done well so far in North America. He's 1 for 20 in North America. That's not a very good stat. But this horse is going to go a mile for the first time, has won the last 2, and you're getting Ryan Moore aboard. And again, he's the leading rider for Coolmore and Aidan O'Brien. I know a lot of horses have come over, and Wayne Lorden's been aboard. He's sort of the second string rider for them. So whenever you see Wayne Lorden, he's normally the second guy for Coolmore and Aidan O'Brien. But when Ryan Moore's aboard, he's their number 1 guy. So you want to take a look at his horses. 6-1 offers good value. I think this horse is going to like to stretch out from 7 to a mile, and I'll use him at 6-1. And then the 6 Fog of War in the 3rd spot, I'll use defensively. I do like that effort last time out, and the fact that Fog of War did beat Casa Creed. Casa Creed came back to win at Saratoga should only flatter Fog of War. But again, I'm just trying to look for a more attractive price in here. I think this favorite may be a little bit vulnerable, a horse that likes to sit a little bit farther back. I'm thinking that Valid Point may get a jump on Fog of War and be able to hold him off. So we'll see how it goes here in the Secretariat, but I had it 7, 3, 6, and 2. Your thoughts one more time?
7, 6, 4, and 8.
All right, let's take a look at the highlight of the weekend. It is the Arlington Million Grade 1 event, race number 11 on Saturday at Arlington. 1.25 miles on the turf, and you're going to see the superstar in Bricks and Mortar, who's just been unbelievable after coming off that long layoff. Hasn't lost, actually, since coming off that layoff. He's won 5 in a row, searching for 6. And again, he's just a horse that can do it all. He's a horse that likes to come from the back, but they set really slow fractions at Fairgrounds, and he was actually right up on the speed, had a gutsy win that day, and then they set no pace at all at Churchill Downs 2 back. And this horse was the only one flying late, got up to beat Kerbin that day. I love everything about Bricks and Mortar. The only question mark you could say is Robert Bruce getting better. He's the defending champ of this race last time out. There's a couple other horses that are coming over from Europe that have some outside shots in here. You have the local horse that won the prep in the number 10, Bandua, who's maybe a horse that people are going to want to use at 6-1. Do you think people ultimately go with Bricks and Mortar and sort of fear the fact that he is just a horse that's just a superstar, or are people going to look for value and kind of spread elsewhere?
No, he's definitely, people are going to probably single him, and deservingly so. I'm going to go 1, 3, 10, and 8. I'm going to go with the defending champion, Robert Bruce, and I just think, as you said, I just think he's really improving from last year's Arlington Million. I thought he ran well in the Turf Classic at Belmont, losing the Channel Maker. Channel Maker won again later in the year at Belmont. And then I thought the Manhattan was a very, very good effort to finish second by a length to Bricks and Mortar. So I think Robert Bruce has experience over the track, is improving start by start since last year's Arlington Million. I think it's a jump on Bricks and Mortar in here. I think Javier gets a little bit better position than him, than Bricks and Mortar. I'll use Robert Bruce on top, Bricks and Mortar underneath. It feels like yesterday at the Pegasus where this horse got bet down to 5-2 or 3-1, but has done nothing wrong this year, and is a deserving favorite, as you said, 2 back. That was an unreal performance to win that race by half a length. The 10 and the 8, Captivating Moon, if you're a super player, I think 20-1 has a shot in here, has ran well, has the local connections at 25% there, and also 3-for-4 over Arlington. But Bandula is going to get to the lead. If Bandula can really slow things down with Adam Beskitzen and Jack Sisterton, I think this one could be very, very dangerous and has shown game efforts in the front end. So don't count out Bandula on the front end, because Robert Bruce and Bricks and Mortar are going to be coming way late in this race. 6-1 for possibly the only speed in here, I think is very, very fair price. But in the Arlington Million, 1-3-10-8.
Yeah, I ultimately think that's the big question in here. There's not much pace in this race. I didn't have the 10 in my mix, but I do agree with you that the 10 is a serious play in here if the pace is soft. I think Catch and Die, the big long shot, the number 4, could potentially go with the 10 and sort of set up a little bit of pace in here. Hunting Horn is a horse that is sort of versatile enough to also be forwardly placed in here with Ryan Moore. They could potentially just catch a flyer in here and decide, you know what, we want to dictate the pace and see if they can play Catch Me If You Can. I think the pace is going to be honest enough to set it up for Bricks and Mortar, who we've touched upon and obviously is the superstar in this race. I think he's going to be able to make it 6 in a row, holding off a gutsy Robert Bruce. I think Robert Bruce is improving, like you said. A horse that likes it already at Arlington, was able to get past Almanar that day to win the Arlington Million last time out. And then last year, at Arlington. Last time out in the Manhattan, I thought it was a dynamite performance. He just wasn't able to get out. Bricks and Mortar was sitting right next to him, and Bricks and Mortar he was already on the outside, was able to make his move, was already clear, and then Robert Bruce had to sort of angle out, and at that point, Bricks and Mortar was already about 2 or 3 lengths clear. So I think that's ultimately what cost him the race that day, and I think with a different tactic and a different race setup in here, I think Robert Bruce is going to be a serious player in here. And then the 7 and the 9. I think the 7 and the 9, Pavoyne and Intelligent, the 9 in here, are 15-1 and 12-1 on the morning line. These are European horses coming over for some top-notch connections, and they've had some races that could surprise some people, including the 7 who I have in the 3rd spot, raced against Crystal Ocean. Crystal Ocean just lost that epic battle to Enable, so finished 4th, beaten 6th by Crystal Ocean. Doesn't look so bad when you're talking the facts of Enable and Crystal Ocean are probably one of the top 2, if not the top 2 horses in the world. So we'll see how the 7 transitions over to North America. But you're getting Sylvester de Souza, who's going to be the normal jock for this horse, to come over for the Arlington Million. So if you're looking for a long shot in here, I think the 7 at 15-1 offers some tremendous value. For me, at 3-1-7-9. Your thoughts one more time?
1-3-10-8.
All right, that's going to wrap things up for this edition of the Stakes Preview. Before we go, we always kind of like to sort of give the overview of the weekend. So take it away.
It's supposed to be great weather in Chicago, and then it's supposed to be nice weather here in New York. So if you're going up to Saratoga, keep note that Arlington's going to have fantastic weather, and it's a really good betting race. The undercard's actually very good as well, and the multiples could blow up a little bit out in Chicago. So weather looks good. Great racing at home here in Saratoga. So, and this is probably the lightest weekend of them all, because next weekend we're going to talk about the Alabama and that great card up at Saratoga. So, I know you had the bankroll, so good luck with that. Good luck to the whole bankroll team. And there's plenty of opportunities at Saratoga and in Arlington this weekend.
Absolutely. Like you said, weather's phenomenal here locally. So if you can make it up to the track, fantastic. If you can't, make it to one of our branches of the Clubhouse Racebook, as always. But again, with the good weather, NYRA is going to stagger their posts, which is something that we wanted to probably touch upon, because with the big card out of Arlington, they didn't want to have races going off at the same time. So you're going to see some extended post times. You're going to see some weird things. But those races look to go off between 5:30 and 7:30. So if you're looking for timing and how to time things up with your wagers, definitely take a look at the post time for each one of those races, because you're going to want to get those in accordingly. So again, that's sort of our wrap up for this weekend. Hopefully we gave you some good information. You can include that with your own selections, and hopefully we all make some money in here. So until we see you again, take care.
You're watching Capital OTB TV. Wager at CapitalOTBBet.com for the most comprehensive wagering site and the best player rewards in New York State.